Hi, I'm Maria Arboleda, a People Analytics Manager at Google. Research on our people is my number one priority. From day one, Google knew that people are our top priority. From how we recruit and find the right talent, to how we onboard our hires, to what programs and mechanisms we put in place for their success, we know people really matter. While we do a lot in this space, today I want to share some research we did on managers. Over the next couple of minutes, let me unpack why managers matter a lot at Google. Let's dig in. At points in its history, Google questioned the real value of a manager for an employee. For instance, in 2002, Google ran an uncontrolled experiment where we essentially got rid of the manager role and flattened the organization completely for a short time. Employees were confused about where to go for questions they would typically ask a manager. Even simple tasks like vacation approval got escalated to Larry and Sergey. Not a surprise, that didn't go very well. Fast forward to 2008. Google launched a dedicated team of researchers to evaluate the role and value of a manager. The team tested the hypothesis that managers don't matter. So the question about why managers matter became the question to solve for. And so Project Oxygen was born. Project Oxygen strives to answer the question, what if every Googler had an awesome manager? Our team studied the best managers as rated by their direct reports and identified 8 attributes that make for great managers. In 2016, we conducted additional research and added the last 2. These 10 attributes are now incorporated into our feedback culture and learning programs at Google, and are introduced to managers in our new manager training. We also looked at the ways managers can grow. We identified the low-scoring managers and planned a series of interventions, including offering managerial coaching. Based on what we learned from Project Oxygen, Google's people team decided to incorporate a people manager review into the performance cycle process. Now, for any manager with 3 or more employees, we run a survey to allow employees to give anonymous and direct feedback to their managers, as well as to rate their managers on these 10 attributes. Creating a constant forum for feedback against these attributes is a great illustration of how important we think managers are at Google, because everyone deserves a great manager. I wanted to share that Google has adopted a similar science and data approach as seen in Project Oxygen to make most of its people decisions. Here are 3 ways Google is using data and analytics to make important people decisions. First, Google Geist is our annual company-wide survey, and over 90% of the company voluntarily takes it. We get such a high response rate because Googlers know that their leaders and organization will listen and react to their feedback. All the results are made available internally, and annually and quarterly goals are created to address issues raised by Googlers. After figuring out what makes for effective managers, the research team set out to answer the question, what makes a Google team effective? They identified 180 teams to study, including a mix of high and low performing teams across the globe, and tested how both team composition and team dynamics impact their effectiveness. What did they find? Who is on a team matters less than how the team members interact, structure their work, and view their contributions. They learned that there are 5 key dynamics that set successful teams apart from other teams at Google: psychological safety, dependability, structure and clarity, meaning of work, and impact of work. Next, they created a tool called the G-Teams exercise, a 10-minute pulse check on the 5 dynamics, a report that summarizes how the team is doing, a live in-person conversation to discuss the results, and tailored developmental resources to help teams improve. You can check out a team effectiveness discussion guide to use with your team on our rework blog. To better understand the impact of distributed work, the research team sent out a survey to 5,000 plus Googlers and held focus groups with about 100 employees across the globe. They measured well-being, performance, and connectedness, among other things, and consolidated our findings and best practices in a set of playbooks to share with Googlers and other companies. You can find these playbooks on Google's keyword blog. The hope is, by sharing these tips, we'll make it easier for teams to effectively and happily work together, no matter where they are based. Those are just a handful of examples, but if you want to learn more about what Google is learning and sharing with our wider community, please check out the Rework site. There, we share more details on our approach to supporting people. Thanks for listening, and I hope you too can advance the way your business uses data to inform your people decisions.